Come on now. We acting crazy. Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner? Well, good evening. Hello, Louisville. Hello, world. Who's ever tuned in? You ought to be tuned in because I gave you pre-notice that we were having a guest for dinner on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. Um, a lady that's royalty in our city. And I'm here to start celebrating. I call it Black History Making Year. This is a Black History Making Year for us. We're learning how to do a lot of things with this technology. Um, Aside from my guest here today, I thought I'd bring another Louisvillian to the forefront who was a fighter for justice and equality. Louisville's very own Muhammad Ali. You know what I mean? Yeah, he's in the house with us tonight. Louisville has the spirit of Muhammad Ali. I've always felt like that. But the young lady that I'd like to present to some and introduce to others, but everybody should know who she is. She is a stalwart of the civil rights movement, period, and of the civil rights movement in Louisville, Kentucky. That would be none other than Miss Mattie Jones. Hey, Mattie Jones.
Good evening to you. Good evening to you, Dennis.
How you doing, sweetheart?
I'm good. I'm
Look,
good.
this is start time. I said I saw you yesterday on WLKY. That was beautiful piece.
Thank you. Thank you.
And but I wanted to bring you on, this is a wonderful way for me to start out my programming for the month of February, but it's going to be programming for the year for me. Cuz like you said, we need more than just we got the short month, 28 days to celebrate Black history, right?
Right. Shortest month of the year.
So tell me how you got involved and some of the things that stand out to you that were monumental that happened right here in Louisville.
Well, I'm very proud to say that I'm a product of the school system here.
Okay.
Graduate of Central High School, class of 1951.
All right.
And
All right.
all during my school years, I had to walk past several of the white schools to get to my school. But that didn't bother me at all. We were happy neighbors. We would all meet up and walk on to our schools. The first junior high, they call it middle school now, was Madison Junior High. Now I
Right.
walked from Jackson and Madison down to 18th and Madison each day to Madison Junior High. When I graduated from Madison, 1947, I went on to Central High School.
Okay.
Still happy go lucky, didn't bother me passing the
Mm-hmm.
white schools. That was all right. I'm going to my school because
Right.
there the teachers greeted us, and Maud Brown Porter, the assistant principal, knew every student in that school by name.
That's
And it
wonderful.
was wonderful to get there in the morning and say, "Good morning, Mattie Jones. Good morning, Joyce Cook." Whoever was coming through that door, she
Mm-hmm.
would greet you with your full name. And I went along and graduated, as I said, in 1951. And at that time, that it was a time of integration was beginning to just flow on into the school system and
Mm-hmm.
break up that separate but equal
Hmm.
junk. And
Yes.
our
We say
school,
junk.
our
Yeah.
choir in our school, Louisville Municipal College, was closing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that gave me the idea to leave home. Hey, you're 18, you're grown now, and
Okay.
had a pretty disciplinary mama,
Okay.
and it was my chance that I could get away a little bit to show how grown I was at 18.
Okay.
So I decided, I said, well, I read a couple of colleges and all, and I didn't want to get too far. So I
Okay.
decided I'd go to IU,
Okay. Okay.
Indiana University.
Indiana. Mm.
hmm And when I got there, wasn't too many folk look like me there. It was just about 2 or 3 at the most
I was
that
going
you
to say,
come
especially in Indiana.
right. And it kind of created a little loneliness.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I had a brother. My brother was 8 years older than I, so each Thursday afternoon my class would end about 11:30, and my brother would drive from Louisville up to Bloomington and pick me up
Hmm.
and bring me home, and I'd spend a good weekend, have a good time with my friends that was still at home, and
Okay.
go back to school. And I did that for a whole semester.
So you
So
lived on the campus?
yes,
Oh, okay. Okay.
so my mother permitted me to do that for a whole semester. And at the end of the semester, when I came home, she says, "Lady, I need to talk to you." And I said, "Yes." And she says, "That running up and down the road has got to end. Either you stay or you come home."
Okay.
Well, as I said, it wasn't a friendly campus, and the atmosphere was not really good for me. So I decided I would come home.
Okay.
So I came home, had a nice time, sleeping as long as I wanted to, getting up in the morning. One morning, my mother, she was a tough little 5 foot lady.
Okay.
She says, "I need to talk to you in the morning, Mattie Florence." I says, "Well, all right." So the next morning, I got a real
Raise
nice.
your phone up just a little bit, Maddie, so I can see more of your face.
So the next morning, I got up real
There you
nice
go. That's good.
and
Okay.
late, and she was there in the kitchen, and she said to me, she says, "What are you going to do? You're back home now." I says, "Well, I really don't know what I want to do." She said, "Well, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do. You're going to do what I said do. You going back to school, or you going to get yourself a job. And I'll tell you what you won't do. You won't sleep here until 11 and 12 o'clock in the daytime and get up, get your shower, make yourself look nice, and walk
Mm-hmm.
out here and have a good time and come back in and repeat the situation." She said, "I'm not going to have that."
Right.
And I
Right.
knew she meant what she said.
Right.
So the next morning, bright and early, I was up at 7 o'clock and I went out trying to seek employment. Wasn't too much,
Okay.
except the laundry or the kitchen of that nature that for me. So I talked to another friend of mine. She was working at a laundry and she was getting disgusted with that. So we decided we were going to try to attend University of Louisville.
Okay.
So we did. We went out, signed up, got on that first streetcar. Then they had streetcars running in Louisville.
Right.
You young people
Right.
ain't never been on a streetcar. You might think you've been on a because you rode the trolley. That's what we had, but we had streetcars, and we rode out to First Street to the campus and enrolled in U of L. And it was a little better, a lot better,
A
because
lot better.
after
Okay.
class I would come home. So finally, I decided, I said, well, my mother and father both working and all. And I said, I need a little work here to help myself and take some of the load off my parents.
Right.
So they had a advertisement for a clerk in the administration building. So I said, hey, look, I thought I was hot stuff because I came out of commercial class at Central High School and I could type pretty fast and I could
Okay.
write the big shorthand. So I knew I was pretty tough.
Okay.
So I applied for the job. And believe it or not, I got an interview.
Hello.
Okay.
All
So
right.
when the supervisor came, he said, "Did you fill out this application?" And I said, "Yes, I did." And he kept looking around, looking at it. He says, I tell you, he said, "Will you fill out this one for me, please?" I said, "Oh, yes, I'll fill out another one." So I said, then I filled it out real nice. Oh, he looked at it and it was the same. Was no changes in the penmanship. And he did say, "You have a lovely penmanship." I said, "Well, my mother taught me to write cursive when I was 5 years old.
Right.
I was writing."
Right.
So we
Okay.
kept on. He was just nervous. He didn't know what to do. He was just fidgeted. So
Mm-hmm.
finally, he said to me, he said, "Well, everything on your application is all right, but," he said, "those ladies out there, and they were all white, will not work with you." In the
Wow.
wrong paint job. Yes. Just at that moment, everything just went out of me.
Okay.
And I left out of that building. I imagine I did slam doors, but I had past the angry stage. I was one mad black woman.
I hear you. I hear you. Okay. I understand.
So when I got home, I was still mad. So my mother said, "Hey, look, wait a minute. Stop kicking my chairs. I don't want you to break one of my dining room chairs."
Right.
He said, "You cannot win this battle all by yourself. So this is not the first time this will happen with you." She said,
Okay.
"That's why I told you when you got 18 years old that to leave those things you call feelings on the front steps."
Oops.
She said,
Okay.
"Now,
Huh. All right.
if you want to do something about this," she said, "you need to align yourself with some good organization that can help you in this struggle."
Okay.
She said, "Now, the NAACP is a long range organization, and they've been around a long time and they've made quite a few strides." So I said, "Okay." Well, before I could get connected to the NAACP, I met a gentleman named Roosevelt Roberts, and he
Okay.
headed up an organization called Black Workers Coalition. So I went over to Black Workers Coalition.
Okay.
And that started me to dealing with some of the things that was happening to us in the
Some
work.
of the some of the racial injustice or the way that they treated us or didn't want to give
Right.
us jobs or gave us some
Well,
little phony reason for not giving us the job.
right. Well, I lost the job. They put me on the shirt line to work, finishing shirts. I was tall and I was young and I was fast and I was really doing the production work.
Mm-hmm.
But well, I couldn't understand why we didn't have any cold water over on our side and we didn't
Mm-hmm.
have any fans on our side. So I stopped a minute and walked over and asked the supervisor, "How come we didn't have a fan and some cold water?" She said, "Well,
Right.
you can go out the door. You can get yours outside." So I had lost the job. So when I
Oh,
got home,
n-
I was telling my
okay.
mother,
Another one out the door, huh?
yes. And I was telling my mother, she says, "This is what I'm telling you. This battle will
Right.
never be won with just
Ongoing.
talking your and running your mouth. You got to do something." So Roosevelt said, "Well, I'll tell you what." He said, "This is happening all over." So I started taking complaints from community people that were coming in, the same thing almost that happened to them on their work.
Right.
So then they began to have the marches. The struggle had begun to fester in the deep south, and then uh, they were moving up to Montgomery, and the incident with Rosa Parks
Right.
that got me. I said,
Okay.
"Well, I was filing these applications and these complaints through the Black Workers Coalition, but I wanted to get some of the direct action like what's going on in Montgomery."
Right.
Those folks were determined they weren't gonna get on no bus; they were gonna walk it.
Right.
So, and I was on my porch one morning. I was sweeping on 28th Street. I live between Kentucky and Greenwood,
Okay.
and I still call her my senator because she will always be my senator, Senator Georgia Davis Powers.
Georgia Davis Powell. Yes, ma'am.
She said to me, she said, "I'm having a meeting tonight." She said, "Think you can come down?" I said, "Oh, yes." What time? She said 6. So I said, "All right." So 6 o'clock, I was riding at Senator Powers' home. We lived about 3 doors from each other, not too
Okay.
far.
Okay.
So sitting there a few minutes, and then in walked this nice looking tall black gentleman, introduced as Reverend Raph Abernathy. Oh my gosh.
Oh, have
Right
mercy.
behind
All
him
right.
came Reverend Dr. C.T. Vivian. And then here comes Dr. King. By that time, I'm so excited, I don't know what to do with myself. Oh my goodness.
I can imagine.
Oh, I
Wow.
always could talk. I think I might have lost my voice and everything. But that at that moment, at that meeting, that's when I made up in my mind that I was getting ready to get married and I wanted to start me a family and all. And I said, I want to be a part of this. I do not want to have a family to go through some of the things that is happening with me. I knew that they had black fountains, they had white fountains. I knew they had a door for black folks. They called it colored. I knew
Mm-hmm.
that,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get the hurt of knowing that this is not right.
Right. Right.
So that is when I definitely made up in my mind.
You found your purpose.
I'm
You
ready.
found your purpose, and you found your fight the fight that you wanted to fight.
And I was learning how to fight that fight because at that time too, we were getting ready to organize. Uh, Senator Powers was helping get a march together on Frankfurt, and
I
that's the
remember
touch.
that march on Frankfurt.
Yes, and that was a touch I wanted. Some direct action,
Right. Because, they were doing
and
things down in
along
Montgomery, and you wanted them to do things up in here in Kentucky.
make a change. So
Okay.
therefore, uh, and in the meantime, with this march on Frankfurt, I met another lady that was a white woman. And
Okay.
kind of puzzled at first about this white woman, but after I got to know this white woman by the name of Ann Braden,
And Brady. Right. Okay.
I knew that I was headed in the right direction because she put me with people that had sent me down to Newmarket, Tennessee, to the Highlander, so that I could learn how to be a part of the protest, how to conduct myself in this march on Frankfurt and all.
Right. Let me say this. Let me say this, Miss Jones. Can I call you Maddie?
You call me
Oh,
Matt. I
because I'm gonna get I give you your props, and I'm not gonna step out on that. But Maddie, it's something that our children today they don't know that we were taught how to fight this fight. That
Yes,
there were schools about when the Freedom Riders caught the bus, they were taught about what to do if someone approaches you and it is physical with you. They were taught what to do, how to if you got arrested, what to do when you were taken to jail. We were taught these things,
yes,
and our children nowadays don't know those things because we've not had any classes to teach them, and in a way some don't want to listen to what people your age and my age have experienced so they can know how to fight the fight.
that's it. But I say this is part of our fault because
Okay.
after that we got the accommodations of open housing and public accommodation, and we got a few little dressed up jobs, and they could see us in the windows of City Hall and government places. We thought we had arrived. We
Right.
thought everything was all right. We
Right.
thought we won the battle. We
Right.
did not carry that message on to that generation to let them know that this fight, this freedom that you have now, was not free.
No.
This
No.
voting rights that you have now, someone died. People
Right.
died for that.
Absolutely.
So they did not know the hard struggle, and we didn't put it on the front line to make sure that it was in their minds.
Right.
You see, we take a look at our Jewish brothers and sisters. They will never let their generation forget the Holocaust,
No.
and we should never. And some of our children were just ashamed to even say the word slavery.
Right. I don't know why, but
And
right.
we didn't do our teaching thoroughly like we should have.
Right.
So that is why that they were not really aware the things that could happen to them. And I tell everyone, I applaud the young people that was out there on the Breonna Taylor case.
Right.
I'm so glad to see that it was black and white and brown
Together.
together. But
That was a line in the song, black and white together.
yes,
We
we
shall
should
overcome.
overcome.
Yes, ma'am.
But our young folks out there, they didn't get the leadership.
Right.
They did not get the training to know how to act
Right.
and react against what was going before them. But they didn't understand either that everybody's not marching for justice and equality and freedom for all. Everybody that's in this line with you is not. And that's what brought about the violence too
Right. Right.
of
That they
those
were
that
they
had
were they
alternative
were
motives.
infiltrated.
Yes,
Everybody wasn't out there for the same reasons.
right. And see, they didn't come to old schools. They thought we were a little bit too old school to
Right.
let them know that what was going to face them when they got out there. And perhaps, too, they were so upset over what had happened because they didn't think these things would happen. Old school like me know this has been going on. They've been
For
killing black
years.
folks for a long time.
For
This is not
years.
just
And
an
and
isolated
for
thing.
years in Louisville.
Right here in Louisville.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right
Have
here.
had these problems for years.
We've had this problem.
Oh,
We've always
but
been disrespected because of
yeah,
the color of our skin.
yes, ma'am. You're absolutely right. And it's not just been going on in Louisville, Mattie. It's been going on
It's
in
all
this
over.
country. In this
All over.
country. All over. Only because they couldn't you really didn't have proof that things were happening. Like someone would say, a
Mhm.
policeman beat me up, or they I was handcuffed and they roughed me up, or they threw my head up against the wall or whatever, because it was just that person's word against that police officer's, and nobody would take a black person's word over a police officer.
That's it. And we were afraid.
Right,
We were afraid.
right.
So it's just went on and on too long until now with the young folk realizing that this is one of the things that keeps them down to the ground
Right.
is the racism. See, they never really heard that word. That word has not been loudly spoken. It has always been very softly spoken. But now they see this. They see this hatred. They see this inequality.
Yes, ma'am.
And they are upset about it. They see what happened with Brianna.
Right.
So now what they need to do, they need to get themselves together and get themselves well organized so that they
Absolutely.
will know and understand the way that they got to fight this.
Yeah,
And
because
it's not
they'll
just
have to go back out and march some more. The march is not over.
March is not over.
March
It will
is
never
not over.
no,
No,
and racism will never die.
no.
So you've got
That's
to
sad to say, but
realize
you're
that this
right.
is a constant struggle.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not just with the police department, it's with all of the departments. It's with the school system. It's with the welfare departments. It's with all the way up to the White House.
Right.
So we have got to be a constant on our, as we old folks say, P's and Q's
P's and Q's.
to realize
Yes, ma'am.
to realize what is happening when it happens and how to handle the situation. And
Yes.
before it happens, we've got to be aware of equality, inequality, of things that's happening around us.
Right. And you have
Now,
to, and you have to be willing to raise your voice.
yes.
I looked at, I saw a show. Well, actually, they did a recap of the year 2020.
Mm,
And when they got to the social injustice part, and they were talking about the George Floyd and the Breonna Taylor and the protest and how the protesters were treated and how the police were treating the protesters. And then they never ever mentioned the brother. And I'm a Colin Kaepernick supporter. And they never mentioned his name. Now this man kneeled
mm-hmm,
on a knee to say this is for social injustice that's being perpetrated against people of color. That's
mm-hmm,
all that meant. And
mm-hmm,
they took that,
mm-hmm,
the media took it and they wrapped it around, and it meant something about the flag. It meant something about the national anthem. Didn't have a thing to do with either one of those things. But he was not mentioned at all because that was a very non-resistant way to protest.
yes,
And they didn't like that. And they took this young man's whole career away from him.
yes.
Now they paid him for it, but they took his career away from him.
And that is
And,
the same way that
right.
the protest was when one year here during the time we was trying to get public accommodation and open housing, we
Mm-hmm.
had a non-bind for Easter. No one goes to 4th Street and buy anything.
Oh,
and we
okay.
brought them. We put an economic non-buying on them.
Did a
That
boycott on 4th Street.
right, and that brought them to the bargaining table. So
Okay.
our young folks have got to learn there are ways to get you to the bargaining table.
Right.
You
And
don't
that's
have to
where we
break a
need to
window.
be. We need to have a seat at the table.
Right. We don't need to break a window. We
No.
don't need to go in your store and steal your commodities that you have in there. There's a way we can bring you to your knees through nonviolence.
Yes, ma'am.
And this is what they're going to have to learn because we are violent. The young folks are violent because they have been treated so badly
Right.
and didn't even realize. Look at all of the young people that have been suspended. Our folks, our children,
Right.
African American kids from Jefferson County school system when busing first started. Look
Right.
how they prepared our children to not accept the busing. Because I remember here in Louisville, they brought a superintendent into Louisville over the public school system by the name of Newman Walker out of
Okay.
California. And
Okay.
he brought in a program that he called Focus Impact. The kids could do their own thing.
Okay. I wasn't here
And,
doing busting. I was gone.
and during that time, that prepared the children when they were bused out into the white suburbs. They were at a loss.
And they knew that they didn't want them out there.
That's it.
Those
And
bus
they
rides when the people were rallying around buses and taunting the kids.
and the Klan was some of our children had never seen nothing called a Klan, a white robe
No.
on and a hood.
Well,
So
I taught at Jesse Stewart High School. Now, didn't that principal out there, Ramsey,
mm-hmm,
Jay Ramsey,
J. Ramsey.
he was a proponent for against the busing. I guess he
Mm-hmm.
was. Okay.
And all of this our children had to face. So
Right.
now we need to let the lights come on again in all of the churches, not just Sunday. We need an everyday program for our children because we have really, and we say, oh, this generation is so bad. Yes, it is because we haven't did anything. We as neighbors, we let big time drug folk come in and take over our communities. And now they've killed all the love that we have for each other.
Yeah.
Now we're losing our babies
Yes, ma'am.
because of all of this.
Yeah.
When are we going to wake up and say, we've cried enough? We've shedded enough tears. You can't take no more of our babies. Don't sit
Right.
up in the house and complain about, oh, they're selling drugs next door. Oh, they're selling drugs around the corner. Oh, they're shooting this place. Oh, we can't get a gun law. You can do anything you want to do if we come together as brothers and sisters and have good heart, good mind. I love the song we used to sing when we were marching that I woke up this morning with my mind on freedom. And this is
Stayed on
freedom.
freedom.
This is freedom.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
can we can turn the police department around
Right.
and make them respect us
It
like we
is
want us
all
to
about
respect them.
what you just said, Miss Mattie. It's all about you got to change people's hearts
Yes.
way before you can change their minds. To
Yes.
me, and it's all in how we treat one another. But it's always black folks have always been forgiving and compassionate and willing to offer the olive branch. This is our nature. It just is.
Yes.
You'll see more people talk about us coming together and how we want to be treated. It's more about if we can get people to sit down and understand a conversation that your life is no different. You don't want in your life, white people don't want in their lives anything different than we want in our lives and for our children.
That's it. We want the same thing.
We want the same thing.
And we want to be respected.
Gotta be.
We're the
Gonna
only
be.
folk.
To see
We're the
now, these
only black
kids,
folk.
they gonna be respected.
We were the only black folk. Yes, we was over in Africa. We were in the villages. Yeah, we had a bone in our nose, maybe a bone in our ear, whatever. We were happy in the jungles running.
Right.
Why?
Right.
You all brought us here. White folks brought us here. And
Thank
we
you.
came against our will. So when some folks
Absolutely.
said, well, do you call us America? I said, well, sometimes I call it America. But I
Okay.
also put America ours on it. It's our America because our foreparents have built this country.
Yep, built it. Yes, yes, ma'am.
It
Absolutely.
wasn't discovered by Columbus because you can't
No,
discover nothing when somebody's already there.
already here.
And our indigenous brothers and sisters was already there
Yes,
when they landed.
yes, ma'am.
So
Absolutely.
we as black people, we've got to stop being ashamed of our blackness. We've got to stop accepting little small crumbs off the table.
No,
We do the whole pie now.
no, no, no more
People are
kibbles
talking
and
about
bits.
reparations.
Right.
I'm not looking for no 40 acres on a mule. My
So you don't even
reparation,
want no mule, huh?
I'm telling you,
We need
'cause
a car.
a mule can't run into Derby and make no money for me. So you know I don't want no mule. Now you give me a good thoroughbred.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
And my good thoroughbred has to be a good opportunity for education, a good opportunity for jobs,
Yes,
a good
ma'am.
opportunity for advancements in the community. A good opportunity is show me, like in West Louisville here, we've been denied so long. And I said, praise God for Shadiqua Reynolds, this
Right.
beautiful tract that's there at 30. And we haven't had any economic development in West Louisville, and I don't know when.
Been a long time.
Long, I would say 65 years since I've seen
I think
anything
the
like
last
this
thing they put
in
in the West End was the Walgreens store, wasn't it?
Walgreens store. That is not
That's
economic development.
pitiful. Yeah, it's pitiful.
We
We
couldn't
have
even get,
two grocery stores and one Walgreens store.
yeah, and no retail store.
None. We
So
used to have
we,
cleaners.
everything.
I lived on Cecil and Garland. We had cleaners, hardwood stores, a drugstore almost on every other corner,
And a movie theater on the
and a
corner, which
movie
is that,
theater.
yeah,
Right.
On the corner of Lewis Coleman and Broadway was a big
Yes, ma'am.
movie theater.
Yes, ma'am. The West End. That's what it was called, the West End Theater.
West End Theater. So we have got to march on until we get freedom. And it's not going to come overnight. You
No.
young folk may be going on to college and way away from here. But wherever you are, you got that little light to shine to say that you don't ask and plead and beg for this respect. You demand it because
Right.
we paid our dues.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Absolutely. So,
And we have got to work hard to get this job done. And as I tell these young folk, and I tell our churches, open up them doors through the week
right.
so the children will have somewhere to come into instead of roaming up and down the street. Because
Right.
when they're roaming up and down the street, that gives that big time man that has the ships and owns land and everything in other countries, and he's got big mansions and has big money, millions and millions of dollars. That gives him the opportune time when our kids are running wild in the streets to
Right.
hire them. They become the employee of the employer,
Right.
and his workforce is a bad workforce. It has caused them to turn against each other and to sell his product
Right. And kill each other over
and
it.
kill each other, and has caused our communities, caused our streets. And I say this: 26th Street is horrible. I cry every time I go through that street because of the way it is. Our children on that street look like zombies, smoking
Mm.
spikes. I saw one the other day, as cold as it has been, standing up, taking off his clothing. Why do we as community people sit in our homes in our little comfort and allow a store to be a major role in this to destroy our children?
Right.
Put the shoe on the other foot. Would they let it happen to us in their neighborhood? Would they let us do that? Come in
No.
and sell paraphernalia and drugs and mess up stuff and say it's not harmful and call it spice and try to make it legal?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Come on, brothers and
No,
sisters.
no,
We
no,
don't got to
no,
do better than
they
this.
wouldn't allow it. No.
No, we have to do better than this. And we don't have to shoot and kill each other. We've got the largest weapon in the world. That vote.
Right.
VOTE.
Yes,
Get
ma'am.
yourself prepared. You don't like the administration that's prepare yourself. You
Right.
can be mayor. You can
Right.
be governor.
Right.
You can be on the council. Don't sit back and criticize them that's sitting there. You are allowing them to sit there if you don't get out and vote.
Right.
18 years old, vote.
Right.
90 years old, vote. I'm almost 88 years old. I've been voting
Okay.
ever since I was 18. I've never missed a primary and never missed a general election.
But see,
That's the way.
that's something that I mentioned this the other day when I had an interview with Raul Cunningham. That word citizenship. See,
Mm-hmm.
citizenship was taught to us in school. I don't know if they teach anything about citizenship and what it means to be a good citizen anymore, because all of everything you've just said comes along with all of that about voting.
Mm-hmm.
About how you treat your neighbors, how you treat your property,
Mm-hmm.
how you respect other people's property. It's all about those types of things that were embedded in us in growing up that
Yes.
were not passed on.
And pride.
Just go
And
on.
we had pride.
Oh, lots of pride. Yeah.
Yes. We didn't know anything about if a mother was struggling and she was on welfare. We never heard that word.
No. And see, most of the time, black folks, if you are struggling, that saying, you fake it till you make it. You couldn't tell because they be trying to look their very best, and when
Yes.
they present themselves to the public, they wouldn't come out just looking any kind of way.
All right.
Somebody carried themselves. They might not have a thing to eat in the refrigerator, but when they stepped outside their door, they had enough respect for themselves to carry themselves in a certain way.
That's it. Pride and self dignity. Being
And dignity, sure.
have the dignity that you just as good as the next person. Don't
Right.
let nothing crush you down.
Right.
And you
And don't
it's
let anybody make you think you're not worth your salt.
the salt that go
Because
to that's
yeah,
right. So
you come from somebody. You are
that's it.
somebody. Like
Yes.
Jesse used to say, I am
I am
somebody.
some yes. Yes.
You know.
And being black and proud.
Oh,
Being black and proud.
we go get it all.
Yes.
Come on, Mattie. Let's go tell them. They ain't heard all that in a long time.
Yeah.
That was James Brown saying, "Say it loud.
All right, and I'm
I'm
black and
black
I'm
and I'm proud."
yes. Yes. So we come made some strides. Of course, we got
Yes.
Barack Obama in the White House. We
Yes, we
had little
did.
black children running around on the White House grounds. But look how he was treated
Oh, yeah.
by
They
his
they kind of they dogged him.
coworkers, his white coworkers.
Right. Right.
Nothing he introduced, they wanted to pass.
Nothing. Right.
So he got no help. They just let him be there. But the tables turn.
Right.
We turn around and get Obama out. And look what we get in place of Obama.
Yep.
And I don't care if the FBI who hear me say it, and I'll say it anywhere I am, we get a monster in the White House.
Yeah, he was
A
kind of like
man full of hate
Antichrist.
that
Yep.
taught hate, brought
Yep.
hate. And look what
Yes.
happened at the Capitol. Nothing like that has happened in my whole 87 years.
Right. Right.
Never seen nothing like that in my life.
Right.
And that was because what happened? Leadership failed. Not only
Absolutely.
did he fail the other congressmen and the senators, that he failed America.
Right. He did. He did not stand up for us or fight for. He did not represent America at
No,
all.
no kinds of
He
way.
represented himself. You know, he
And
did not
the
represent
hate
this country. When they
and
talk
the
about the
disrespect.
Constitution and honor and all of that, that wasn't happening. That was not on his agenda.
And little brothers and sisters, as you travel those buses and as you travel to schools, put in your minds that you're going to be somebody.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
You don't
ma'am.
have to have money, money, money to be somebody.
No.
You can read those books and get your lesson and pay attention in the classroom.
Right.
Because let me tell you, what you get up in your head, that brain, what you meant that brain open up and absorb, can't nobody take it away from
No.
you.
It
That gives you
belongs
the
to
strength,
you. Only you.
and
And
that gives
no
you the
one
strength.
can have anything to do with that. Just the example of the Miss Amanda Gorman,
Oh
the little
yes,
poet
bless her heart.
laureate. Wasn't she
Yeah,
beautiful?
another second Maya Angelou.
Wasn't
Yes.
she? Yes, ma'am, she was.
Oh, I shouted for joy for the young sister. And
Yeah,
you all out there now that's coming up, you can do the same. You got it in you.
right,
You just have to apply yourself and separate, as we old folks say, separate the wheat from the tare.
right,
Separate that man that comes along that want to put few things in your pocket and you go sell it and you have a little few dollars and you can buy $150 pair of tennis shoes.
right.
That's
Say
not it.
don't sell yourself short.
Don't
You know,
say
you got to
something.
put some
You're worth
some
more
value
than
on yourself,
if it's so
some
profitable.
self-worth.
If it's so profitable to sell the stuff, how come you don't sell it yourself? Why you want to involve me in it?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because they know consequences. And our
Right.
young folks, we got to learn consequences.
Right. Because our consequences are directed straight to the penitentiary and the
Yeah,
jail cells. That's
overflowing.
where they want to direct us because they think that we are invaluable,
Yes.
we're dispensable, and we're not. And we have to stop looking at our lives like I'm gonna let someone else have that kind of control over my life.
Dictate to me. You can't
Mm-mm,
dictate and tell me about my life.
mm-mm,
And my
no,
neighbors in my community here, please, we have got to stop hiding behind the doors. And when we see it's wrong, we got to come out. We can remain anonymous. There's nothing wrong with being remain anonymous. And
right?
young folk, get that mess out of your head that you're snitching.
Isn't that crazy?
You
That's
snitching when you set up and let it happen. You're
but it's
snitching when another brother's blood is running down the streets in our
yeah,
community like water.
yes, ma'am, absolutely, absolutely.
Be like
You know,
Fannie Lou Hamer. Get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
sick and tired. Well, it's really strange to me that you see all every time you see someone, one of our youngsters meet their demise on the streets, that the family comes out and says, just turn yourself in,
Hmm.
this shouldn't have happened. Just let you know. But then those are the same. It's only when it happens to you or to
Yes,
your family that you think people should speak up. But people should speak up on an everyday basis because
yes,
it's a lot of it's unnecessary. A lot of it could be stopped if there was
yes.
some mediation being done with our children, if there was somebody watching social media to kind of say we got problems over here, and it's a way to be solved if families, sometimes it's a whole family involved, just the mama get involved, and sometimes they're involved more than the children, and they take on another behavior that the children only mock. They only mock their parents' behavior.
That's
This
it.
this this behavior out here is not new. They've seen somebody act like this.
And we have got to stop crushing the young people down. We have got to start lifting them up. I don't care if they're out there and they own crack, they're so dirty, and they walk up to you and ask you for $1. Don't just cuss them out or say, get
No,
away from me.
right.
Say a few kind words.
Might might
If you
might
don't
turn
have any
somebody
money,
around.
say some kind words. I said to a little brother the other night, he'd come up and I knew he was wanting some drugs. And I told
Mhm.
him, I said, darling, I don't have any money. I said, but what I do have is a prayer. I said, because you some mama's son, just
Mhm.
like I've got a son, and he may be out there somewhere.
Mhm.
Or I got a grandson that might be out there somewhere.
Right. Right.
I said,
Right.
but if you ever in my neighborhood, I said, I don't mind giving you a good cup of coffee, giving you a glass of juice, or share with you whatever I have.
Mhm.
I said, but I don't have any money. He
Right.
said, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
And then went
I said,
on.
well, I
Yeah.
tell you what you do. You can go and go to a shelter and talk with some of the people there. Or if you see a church that's open, hopefully they will open their door. You may not be dressed like them, but open the door and
Right.
go in.
Right.
And I'm sure that you can find some relief. Just talk to yourself to tell the Lord to take you. Just say, help me.
Right.
I said, and you will find a better way. But I could have just told him to go ahead on back, get away from me.
Right.
We can't
Right.
do that. We can't do that. We say we're Christians. We say we have faith in God, but you so scared to say, uh, I don't have anything, but I can pray for you, or, well, uh, I'll give you a sandwich or something if I have it.
Right.
We don't have kind words for those that
Well,
are downcast.
kindness is kind of gone out the window, Miss Mattie.
And that's why we have so many killings. Love is
Right.
gone.
The
Kindness is gone.
right.
Helpfulness is gone.
You know,
And why
because
is it?
we were a community that seemed to reach out and help each other. I just remember all the different things, all the bond that was there.
We let it slip because our children know nothing about the struggle to get them to where they are now. They don't know. They got so upset about what was happening to them on 4th Street Live.
Right.
Darling,
Oh,
this was happening 40, 50, 60 years ago. We
say
couldn't
that
even try
wasn't
on,
new. Say it wasn't new.
well, couldn't even try on a dress. You couldn't try on a hat.
Right.
You
I
couldn't eat
know
a sandwich.
when I moved back home, Miss Mattie, I said I went to see 4th Street Live, and I didn't see us. And
Uh-uh.
so it was me and my brother. And so I came back home and I told my mother, I said, it's not, they shouldn't call it 4th Street Live. They should call it 4th Street Live.
Mm-hmm.
Take the V out. Cause it was not, there was nothing there for us,
Yes.
at all. And even, I guess maybe now when they try to do some reconstructing and when we come back, when society opens back up, they need to think about these things. If you want a
Tell the
place
story.
for everybody to come, make it for everybody.
Everybody. During the time they talked about driving or during Derby time, having the what do they call that?
Um, mm. Jack, what do they
The
call it? When they was
parade.
riding
All
down the streets,
all of the cars all lined up.
when the kids had the cars and they were all on Broadway doing Derby time. Oh,
Well, anyway,
look,
what
can't nobody remember
we
what it was
used to
called.
do that. We used to do that during my time. We started at 6. It was Walnut Street there. Praise
Hmm.
God, Ali now, and I can say it with much pride.
There was a
Uh,
Derby parade down Walnut Street.
yeah, we went from 6th Street all the way to 13th. There were restaurants,
Right,
us. There were
right,
bars, us.
right.
There were movie houses, us. There
Grocery
were big
stores.
there was big buildings that had attorneys at law. That was us. And we had beautiful music. Even whites would want to come down on Walnut Street because
Sure.
there would be Ella Fitzgerald, there would be Lyle Hampton, there would
Right,
Billy Eckstein
right,
and James Brown. All those folks would we have our derby. That was our black derby.
right. Absolutely.
But now,
Even I think about Joe Hammonds. He
yes,
had he had an establishment that white folks would be rushing to get to Joe's just as fast as black folks would.
and we went to those establishments to Joe's Palm Room and
Yes,
to the
ma'am.
Top Hat that was at 12th and on Walnut Street. We went there looking like we were going to church.
And Charlie Moles.
All right. Charlie Moore, that bar there at, I think, 9th Street, 8th or 9th Street,
Ninth Street.
it was the first man, uh, Charlie Moore was the first man to launch a boycott. He stopped purchasing beer from beer distributors because they wouldn't hire black drivers.
Okay.
Until they
Okay.
had a black driver on that truck, he would not let them bring a beer of nothing in his bar. And
Wow.
he had a nice, beautiful bar
It
too.
was cruising, Miss Mattie, when the cars was down up and down Broadway. They was cruising.
Cruising, yes, all right.
Oh, yeah.
And we would be cruising
Yeah.
because that's
Yes.
one thing about us. Well, we used to, I'm going to have to take that back now. We used to be some very fine dressing folk.
Oh yeah. All the time. All the time. If you
all
look
the
at old pictures, Miss Mattie, it's just you see. Look, coats and ties, and it wasn't
time.
Sunday.
That's it.
Hats.
But
Just
that's the
the
respect. That's
fellows
the
look
pride.
clean. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
the pride that we had. That was
That
the
was the
pride.
pride that we had, because a lot of people, we didn't, a lot of us, I mean, a younger generation was born in Louisville, but
Hmm.
my mother came up here from Mississippi.
And mine came in out of Tennessee.
Go ahead. So,
Oh,
but what they came with that pride,
yes. And
and
the
how they looked
determination that
and
they
carried
wanted their
themselves.
children.
Yes,
They,
ma'am.
they came because they wanted their children to have a better life,
A better
seeking
life.
a better life.
Yes,
Just
ma'am.
didn't accept the little bit they were getting in the deep South.
Right.
My
Right.
dad was Mississippian,
Right.
but
Okay.
they
Okay.
had determination. They had the willpower. They wanted a better day. And that was one of the things that was driving me when I got hit so hard with racism, that I did not want my children to have to go through what I went through and what I was constantly facing, that I had to stand up and I had to be strong.
Yes, ma'am. Well,
Now,
Miss Maddie, let me say this to you. I thank you for being my guest today, because we could reminisce on this struggle, because it's still a struggle
yes,
for African Americans. But I'd like to invite you back. There's going to be a time when I eventually we'll be able to sit down at a dinner table and have dinner and have this conversation at
got
another
to do it.
point in time. And so I want to invite you back. I want to tell you that our city is very proud to have you as a Louisvillian, and we love you, and we appreciate your fortitude. And I just want to say thank you for being my guest. This is you just made me fill up today with what I remember was, and what we need to do to keep the struggle going, or to get rid of the struggle and win the war. Because we've got to move up notches real fast to get to where
Mhm.
we need to go,
Yes,
because we cannot continuously have black men and women dying on our streets from the hands of police, from the hands of black on black crime. We cannot continue to survive like that.
say
So
it.
I thank you. And will you come
You,
back again and join me?
I sure will, sure will. Anytime, just call me and I'll come back. But just keep on marching until we get to Freedom Land. We got to.
Keep on a marching, keep on a marching, marching up
Marching
to
up to
freedom
Freedom Land.
land.
Ain't gonna
Ain't
let
gonna let
nobody
nobody turn
turn
me
me around.
around,
Turn me
turn me
around.
around, turn
Turn
me
me
around.
around.
Ain't
I ain't
gonna
gonna
let
let
nobody
nobody turn me
turn me
around.
around.
I'm gonna keep
Keep
on,
on a marching, keep
keep on
on a marching,
marching
marching
up to
up
freedom.
to freedom land.
Yes.
Miss Mattie Jones,
All right, my sister.
we love
Peace.
you. Thank you, baby.
Love you back. Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.
All right now. That was wonderful. Oh, my heart is full. Let me get it together here. So that's what you call an icon. That's what you call somebody that lived through the struggle way before I was born, way before some of you were born. But a lot of us remember what it was like when we demonstrated from open house, and when you went and sat on the lunch counters at Woolworths. You remember. And we need to, next time we see that there's a reason that we need to get out front, and our children are going to be out front, we need to prepare them how to be out front, how to carry themselves, how to handle themselves, because we don't want any hurt, harm, or danger to come to them. And on that note, I want to say happy Black History Year, because we have Black History all year long. And this year we're going to be making some history with whatever's going on in our lives, in our communities, entrepreneurs making and shaking and breaking things and breaking records and moving on up. That's what it's all about. We still have to progress. It's all about progressing. But we need to have a kinder heart. We need to have a kinder heart and a gentler spirit. Because in order for us to change some minds, we have to act the way that we want to be treated. On that note, this is yours truly saying, Bon appetit. Guess who's coming to dinner? See you Monday. Monday, I've got Mr. Martin Lindsay. He will be my guest next Monday. So join us, 7 o'clock. Guess who's coming to dinner?